There are people in your life right now who are slowly destroying your peace without you even realizing it. They smile in your face, act like they care, maybe even call themselves your friend or family. But behind the scenes, they're draining your energy, sabotaging your progress, and keeping you from becoming the person you're meant to be. The scary part? Most of the time, we don't even notice it happening until it's too late. You just wake up one day feeling exhausted, unmotivated, and wondering why you've lost your joy. And the truth is, it's often not life itself that's weighing you down, it's the people you've allowed too close. In this video, I'm going to expose 15 types of toxic people you should avoid at all costs. Some of them will be obvious, but others will surprise you because they hide behind masks of love, support, and even loyalty. By the end, you'll know exactly who's secretly draining your life and how to protect yourself before they do even more damage. We've all had that one friend, coworker, or even family member who leaves us feeling exhausted every time we see them. You know the type. You spend an hour with them and somehow feel like you've just run a marathon. It's not always what they say directly. Sometimes it's the constant negativity, the little jabs, or the way the conversation always seems to circle back to them. The truth is, toxic people don't all look the same. Some are loud and obvious. You can spot their bad energy from a mile away. But others? They're quiet, subtle, and much more dangerous because they disguise themselves as caring, helpful, or even supportive. That's why so many of us let them into our inner circle without realizing the damage they're doing. And here's the real problem. The longer you keep them around, the more they shape the way you think, the way you feel, and even the way you see yourself. They steal your peace little by little, until one day you wonder why you're so drained. But some are harder to spot than you think because they pretend to care. And that's where things get dangerous. The first type of toxic person you need to avoid is the narcissist. They're charming at first, the kind of person who seems magnetic and full of confidence. But the truth is, everything revolves around them. They thrive on admiration, and if you're not feeding their ego, they'll make you feel guilty or worthless. And when you need support, don't expect it. They'll disappear the moment the spotlight shoots away. Then there's the manipulator. This one is tricky because they don't always come at you head-on. Instead, they pull strings behind the scenes, twisting your words, guilt-tripping you, or subtly steering your decisions so things work out in their favor. They'll make you feel like you owe them, even when you don't. The scariest part? Sometimes you won't even realize you've been manipulated until long after the damage is done. And of course, we can't forget the constant critic. These are the people who never seem satisfied, no matter what you do. You share a dream and they immediately poke holes in it. You achieve something big and they downplay it as not that special. Over time, their words chip away at your confidence, making you second-guess yourself before you even try. But here's the thing, these first three are only the beginning. The next type is one that most people never see coming because they don't attack you directly. In fact, they make you feel like you should pity them. And that's where the trap begins. Wait until you hear number 5. It's someone most people don't realize is toxic until it's too late. Next up is the victim. On the surface, they don't seem dangerous. In fact, they often make you feel sorry for them. Everything in their life is always someone else's fault. They never take responsibility, never own their mistakes, and somehow manage to drag you into their endless pity parties. The trap is that you start feeling guilty for their problems, carrying their burdens while they do nothing to change. Over time, their helplessness becomes a heavy weight on your shoulders, leaving you drained and stuck in their cycle. Then there's the gossip. This person thrives on other people's business, and they always have the latest tea. At first, it might feel entertaining or even harmless, until you realize something crucial. If they're talking about everyone else behind their backs, they're talking about you too. Gossipers erode trust, spread negativity like wildfire, and create drama where none should exist. Being close to one is like signing up for constant chaos. And then we have the jealous competitor.
These are the people who can't genuinely celebrate your wins. To them, your success feels like their failure. Maybe they smile and clap for you in public, but deep down, they're keeping score, always trying to one-up you or secretly hoping you fall so they can feel better about themselves. Their envy poisons the friendship because you'll never truly feel supported. But here's where things get really sneaky. There's a type of toxic person who pretends to be your biggest fan, showering you with encouragement, acting like they're in your corner, while secretly plotting your downfall. And when you hear who it is, you might be shocked. Let's talk about the energy vampire. You know the type. The moment they walk into the room, your shoulders sink. Their presence alone feels heavy. They complain endlessly, dump their problems on you, and somehow always leave you feeling worse than when you started talking. Spending time with them is like plugging your phone into a charger that drains the battery instead of filling it. You can love them, but if you don't guard your space, they will suck the life right out of you. Then there's the passive-aggressive person. They'll never tell you directly that they're upset. Instead, it comes out in sarcastic comments, backhanded compliments, or subtle jabs that leave you second-guessing yourself. On the outside, they act polite, even agreeable, but beneath the surface, they're simmering with resentment. The danger is that their hostility is hidden, so you never really know where you stand with them, and that constant uncertainty eats away at your peace.
And of course, we can't forget the control freak. This person always has to run the show. They want things done their way, on their timeline, and they'll pressure you until you cave in. At first, it might feel like they're just being helpful or organized, but soon you realize you've lost your independence. You're living by their rules, not your own. But here's the twist. Sometimes, the most toxic person in your circle isn't the one who openly attacks you. It's the one who pretends to support you, all while steering you down a path that could quietly ruin your future. The next toxic person you should avoid is the habitual liar. These people bend the truth so often that you can never really trust a word they say. At first, it might be small things, little white lies, harmless exaggerations, but over time, it grows. They lie to cover mistakes, to gain advantage, or simply to make themselves look better. The danger here is simple. Trust is the foundation of every relationship. Without it, you're standing on quicksand, never knowing when the ground will give way. Then there's the drama magnet. For them, life is one constant storm. If there isn't chaos, they'll create it. Every small issue turns into a crisis, and somehow you're always pulled in to clean up the mess. They thrive on conflict, and before long, you realize you're living in their soap opera instead of your own life. It's exhausting, and worse, it distracts you from focusing on your own growth. And let's not forget the user. This person only shows up when they need something. Your time, your energy, your money, your connections. The moment you can't provide, they vanish, only to reappear when they're in need again. What makes them so toxic is the one-sidedness. They take and take, but never truly give. But here's the chilling part. The last three on this list are the most dangerous of all. Why? Because they often wear the mask of love. They make you feel like they're on your side, when in reality, they're tearing you down in ways you may not see until it's too late. One of the most deceptive, toxic people is the enabler. On the surface, they look like your biggest supporter. They cheer you on, encourage you, and even make you feel accepted. But look closer. They're the ones who push you toward destructive habits, bad decisions, or unhealthy relationships, all while calling it having your back. They'll never challenge you to grow because they're too comfortable keeping you stuck where you are. And if you're not careful, their support could quietly sabotage your future. Then there's the disrespectful one. This person doesn't value your boundaries, your time, or even your values. They interrupt, they dismiss your opinions, and they treat your no as negotiable. The danger here is subtle. Every time you let it slide, they chip away at your sense of self-worth. Over time, you begin to feel smaller, less important, and less respected, even in spaces where you should feel safe. And finally, We have the bitter cynic. This person always has something negative to say. Share your dream and they'll laugh. Talk about hope and they'll shoot it down. They mock faith, dismiss vision, and poison conversations with doubt. Being around them is like trying to grow a flower in toxic soil. You can't thrive in that environment. If you spot even one of these people in your circle, you need to think carefully about your boundaries. Because the truth is, keeping the wrong people close can cost you more than letting them go. So why do we keep these people around? If they drain us, if they steal our joy, why not just cut them off immediately? The truth is, it's not that simple. Psychology tells us that one of the biggest reasons we tolerate toxic people is fear. Fear of being alone. We convince ourselves that having someone, even if they're unhealthy for us, is better than having no one at all. Loneliness whispers that silence is worse than abuse. And so we stay, hoping things will magically change. Another reason is obligation. When the toxic person is family, the weight is even heavier. But that's my brother, that's my cousin, that's my parent. We grow up believing that family loyalty means unlimited access, even when it destroys our peace. And so even when their words crush us or their actions break us, we tell ourselves it's our duty to endure it. Then, of course, there's guilt. Toxic people are experts at flipping the script. They make you feel like you're the problem for pulling back, for saying no, for setting boundaries. You try to protect yourself, but somehow you end up feeling like the villain in their story. And because you don't want to hurt them, you let them keep hurting you. Think about it. Maybe you've had that friend who only calls when they need money. They disappear for months, and then suddenly your phone lights up with their name when they're in a crisis. And somehow, every time, you feel obligated to help, even though deep down, you know it's one-sided. Or maybe it's a family member who crushes every dream you share. You tell them about your goals, your plans, your hopes, and instead of encouragement, they respond with sarcasm or disbelief. Over time, their words sink into your spirit until you start questioning if your dreams are even worth chasing. The hardest part is this: the people who drain us aren't always strangers. Sometimes they're the ones we love most. And that's why cutting them off or even setting boundaries feels almost impossible.
If you've been paying attention, you might be realizing that some of these people are already in your life. And the big question is, what do you do now? First, you set boundaries. Boundaries are your invisible shield. They let people know what is and isn't acceptable in how they treat you. Say no when you need to, and don't apologize for protecting your energy. Second, limit contact. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your life, no matter how long you've known them. This might mean reducing the time you spend together, or in some cases, cutting off communication entirely. It's not about revenge. It's about survival. Third, replace toxic relationships with healthy ones. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who encourage growth, who celebrate your wins without jealousy or hidden agendas. When your inner circle is strong, it's easier to spot and avoid those who would drain you. Fourth, don't justify toxicity in the name of loyalty. Some of us stay because we feel obligated. It's family, or we've been friends for years. But loyalty shouldn't come at the expense of your peace, your growth, or your mental health. Sometimes, the most loyal thing you can do is step back and protect yourself. Remember this: protecting your peace is not selfish, it's survival. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If the wrong people are allowed to take up space in your life, they will silently steal your time, energy, and joy. Take control, set boundaries, and choose the people who nurture and respect you. That's how you create a life filled with freedom, peace, and growth, one where toxic energy has no home. Let's quickly recap the 15 toxic people you should avoid at all costs. The narcissist, manipulator, constant critic, victim, gossip, jealous competitor, energy vampire, passive-aggressive person, control freak, habitual liar, drama magnet, user, enabler, disrespectful one, and the bitter cynic. Each one of these personalities has a way of draining your energy, clouding your judgment, and stealing your peace, sometimes subtly, sometimes overtly. Here's the key takeaway. Your circle shapes your future. The people you allow close to you influence your thoughts, your decisions, and even the trajectory of your life. Guard it fiercely, because the wrong people will cost you more than the right people will ever ask from you. Choosing who to keep in your life isn't just about comfort, it's about survival, growth, and protecting the person you're becoming. Now, I want you to take a moment and reflect. Think about your own circle. Which of these toxic types have you faced? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Sharing your experience could help someone else spot the warning signs before it's too late. And remember, protecting your peace isn't just an option, it's a necessity.